Then my vote goes to Togami!
But is that really how it happened? Did Togami really kill Fujisaki in the women's changing room? I don't think that's right, but I'm all out of...
Hold on. I agree with Naegi. I think he's on the right track.
Huh? You open your mouth for the first time in who knows how long and that's what comes out? The kid couldn't have gone into the men's room. That means...
And just how can you be so sure? There is another way.
What was that?
Explain yourself, Kirigiri. What is this other way?
Yes, of course. But to do that, could I possibly request we take a short recess? There's some place I'd like to take everyone.
Whoa! What you talking about?
If you allow it, it will make the rest of the trial much more exciting, which I'm sure you would enjoy.
Oh? It'll make the class trial more exciting? Alright, that's cool with me. This class trial is now officially in recess.
What? Seriously?
So, where's this thing you want to show us? And don't think I'll let you off easy if it's something stupid.
I'm sure you won't be disappointed. Let's get going.
When nobody really sure what was going to happen, the class trial went on recess. And we all followed Kirigiri. Her destination was... the women's changing room?
We've gone over this place with a fine-tooth comb! What do you expect to find here now?
Examine the victim's body again, very carefully.
Examine Fujisaki's body.
All of it. And thoroughly.
You mean, touch the body? Nay, 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 nay!
I would have to refrain. It would be improper for me to place my hands all over a woman's body.
It's not that it creeps me out or anything. It's just that it might possibly be against my religion.
I shall do it.
But you're a girl, Sakura. Making you touch a dead body is, you know, a guy should really do it.
No, it would be more suitable if I, a female, were to touch her than to allow a male to do it. I will take care of it.
Sakura.
Do I smell homo? Are you two lesbians?
Excuse you? No, we're not. Quit playing games.
Very well. I will begin. I hope you can forgive me for doing this, Fujisaki.
As she spoke, Oogami held her hands clasped together before Fujisaki's body, before placing them on her.
Make sure you examine the entire body very carefully. That should answer any questions you have.
Her whole body, you say? To what end are you having me do? Ah!
What's wrong?
Impossible! How could this?
Ogami's eyes were open wide, fixated on Fujisaki's body. She was visibly trembling.
Fujisaki
What?
is a man!
I see. So she was a man. Thank you very much for your... What?
Dude, you're kidding!
I do not tell jokes.
So... it's true?!
A guy? Fujisaki's a boy!
What's this? You guys didn't know? I thought it was pretty dang obvious! Chihiro Fujisaki is a crossdresser!
He was a crossdresser? God damn, that's hot! Now I wish I'd done him!
That makes sense. So this is what Kirigiri wanted to show everyone. You were right about that. This most certainly does make things more exciting. Now let's hop on back into the courtroom and get this ball rolling again. This time with a little extra oomph. My humblest apologies for the delay. Court is now back in session. The shocking truth revealed. Chihiro Fujisaki was a boy. Now let's see where you guys go with that.
I don't know why he chose to dress like that, but one thing's certain. Chihiro Fujisaki was male, not female.
It never occurred to me that Fujisaki could be a boy. It completely slipped by me, unnoticed.
With the victim being male, he would have had no problems gaining access to the men's changing room.
If his Electro ID identified him as male, then yes, you're right.
You betcha! Fujisaki was just a crossdresser, so of course his Electro ID said he was male.
In which case, there are no problems with Naegi's line of reasoning. The victim was murdered in the men's changing room, after which he was moved to the women's. Accessing the women's changing room is simple. He just needed either Mizono's or Enoshima's Electro ID.
Then it's true. Fujisaki was actually killed in the men's changing room?
We still don't know why the culprit relocated the crime scene, but yes, it seems quite likely.
I see. I thought something felt off. I couldn't help thinking something was strange about the way his body felt for a woman.
I'm getting kinda turned on by this.
But this finally ties everything together. All my questions have been cleared up.
Why should you be having your questions answered when you're our prime suspect?
Excellent. Truly magnificent.
My oh my. He's been whisked away to another world.
What do you think, Naegi? After all this, do you still think Togami did it?
I had no doubt Togami was responsible for disguising Fujisaki's death as the work of Genocider Shou. However, I don't think Togami is the killer.
What? Even though you were the proponent of the theory, Master Makoto Naegi?
The way he seemed to be egging me on earlier, it was like he was enjoying having his mystery solved. Like he didn't have anything to worry about. I can only imagine he was able to act like that.
Because he didn't actually have anything to worry about?
On top of that, the evidence Togami left was kind of, a little too blatant. Like he intentionally used that extension cord as a way to lead us back to him. At least, that's how I see it. What's more, you were obviously caught off guard when you discovered where the murder actually happened. As well as when you learned Fujisaki was a boy. If you were really the killer, neither of those should have come as a surprise to you.
I see. Alright. I'm a little concerned by your lack of decisive evidence. But I suppose that's good enough. We'll go with your answer being correct.
Correct?
Just as Naegi says, I'm not the culprit. I happened to stumble upon his body in the women's changing room, and I modified the scene. That's all.
You're shitting me, man?
I'm not shitting anyone. It's true.
Who could believe that?
If you don't want to believe me, by all means, you're just sending us all to our deaths.
If what you're saying is true, then why would you do that? Why would you mess with his body?
My reason is unimportant. What matters now is finding the real culprit. Naegi, if I didn't kill him, then who is the culprit?
I won't be able to say until we talk things over a bit more.
You want to drag this on even longer? Come on, man. No matter how you slice it, Togs is the killer.
We should discuss anything that doesn't sit right with anyone. So you can count me in, Naegi. If we come to the wrong conclusion here, then all of us will be executed.
She's exactly right. I too shall participate in the discussion.
I'm down too, dudes.
Have you no independent thought?
I'm no insect. Of course I can think for myself.
Anyway, let's keep the conversation going. We don't need to come to a decision right this moment.
Indeed, you have a point.
Our lives are on the line.
Then let's recommence this murder mystery game.
If Togami really isn't the murderer, then who is? Who killed Fujisaki? At the very least, the one thing we can say for sure about the culprit is that they had access to the crime scene, which means they must have been... That's the answer! You need a male's Electro ID to get into the men's changing room, which was the scene of the crime. Since Kawata's Electro ID was out of commission, the culprit must have used their own, meaning the culprit has to be male. But that's not enough to go off of. I need more clues.
Have we no leads to identify the killer?
As for possible leads, did anyone witness the culprit?
If they did, they would have said something to me.
A sighting of the victim will do as well.
At this point, we need any new information we can get.
Give it up. We're not getting anything. The only person who saw the victim was the culprit, dude.
That's wrong, and here's why! Actually, the culprit isn't the only one who saw the victim that night. Isn't that right, Celes?
Now that you mention it, you're right. I did see him.
Huh? Seriously?
Ah, yes, that's right. Naegi was the only person I told about this. That would explain why you were all so horribly disconcerted. No one else knew.
That's not important! Just speak!
Just before curfew last night, I ran into him in the dormitory storeroom. He was carrying a sports bag containing, at the very least, a tracksuit. I presume he was going to go work out.
A sports bag and a tracksuit. We found nothing of the sort at the crime scene.
In all likelihood, the culprit disposed of them in order to get rid of any evidence.
Not long after that, he said something rather interesting.
Well, I'm in a hurry, so see you later.
I distinctly recall him saying he was in a hurry. Wouldn't him being in a hurry seem to imply he was going to meet someone?
In short, Master Chihiro Fujisaki was on his way to an appointment with someone to work out together.
Despite the fact that, as hard as we tried, Fujisaki refused to work out with Asahina and I.
Isn't that because he didn't want you to find out he was a dude?
Turning that around, it means the person he was going to meet was someone he trusted deeply. Enough that he didn't care if they discovered his deep dark secret.
Such a beautiful friendship.
So basically, the person he was going to meet is the culprit, and we just have to find out who that was?
But we only have so much evidence. Is that really enough?
Oh, but it is.
What?
It should be clear by now who the culprit is.
Really?
Who was it? Who killed him?
The culprit considered the sports bag and tracksuit he disposed of to be items of importance. By looking at the distinguishing features of those items, it should be obvious who it was he met with.
Is that really so? Could we possibly determine the culprit from evidence that has already been disposed of?
Are you suggesting we guess for fingerprints?
Without the proper equipment, that would be impossible for amateurs such as ourselves.
Never mind the fact that we don't have anything to check for fingerprints, since it's all already been disposed of.
We can still deduce who he was going to meet by discussing it in detail together.
That's easier said than done. Alright then, Celes, could you answer this? Did anything about the bag or tracksuit stand out? The bag was just an ordinary bag you could find in the storeroom. The storeroom only stocks one variety of bags, so I can't say anything stood out in particular.
If my memory serves, there are several varieties of tracksuit. Perhaps then Fujisaki's tracksuit can provide us with some information leading to the murder.
Then let's discuss his tracksuit, shall we?
Could there really be something about Fujisaki's tracksuit that points to the killer? I'm having a hard time believing that.
First of all, Chihiro Fujisaki was going to go work out. Which raises the question, why did he select that particular tracksuit?
What do you mean, that particular tracksuit?
I get it! We chose his tracksuit, so he and the culprit would match.
Which means the culprit. And that kid had the same blue tracksuit.
There's no way you could have known that! Just a second, Owada. There's something wrong about what you just said.
Huh? What's wrong with it?
When Celes was giving her testimony earlier,
He was carrying a sports bag containing, at the very least, a tracksuit. I presume he was going to go work out.
she never once mentioned the tracksuit's color. Why, then, did you know that Fujisaki wore a blue tracksuit?
What are you talking about?
Celes, what color was Fujisaki's tracksuit?
As I recall, it was blue.
And did you tell that to anyone before the class trial?
You are the only person I told, Naegi.
Then when did you find out that Chihiro Fujisaki wore a blue tracksuit, Owada?
Well...
He must have found Fujisaki's tracksuit at some point during his investigation.
No, he couldn't have. The bag and tracksuit would have already been disposed of when we began our investigation.
Then the reason he knew what color it was is because he saw Chi with it before he died.
By Chi, do you mean Fujisaki?
So, which was it? Did you see his tracksuit, or didn't you?
I just happened to run into him last night and catch a glimpse of it. The kid was walking around carrying it.
No, that couldn't have happened either. When I was talking to Celes, she told me...
She quickly stuffed the sleeve back into her bag, almost like she was trying to hide it. And then she left.
That after telling him his tracksuit was hanging out, Fujisaki stuffed it into his sports bag. Even if you had just stumbled into him, you couldn't know the color of the tracksuit inside his bag.
You've dug your own grave.
More like you led him to his grave. That's why you said what you did, isn't it? Your spiel about knowing who Fujisaki met with by looking at his tracksuit was all a bunch of crap.
I see. So that was a bluff, was it? Your true intention was to cause the culprit to misspeak. That's why you said you knew who the culprit was, to scare him.
That's right, except... I always had my sights on Oowada. I was suspicious of him from the beginning.
But why? Why did you think Owada was suspicious?
What do you think?
Crap!
The reason I began to suspect you, Oowada, is probably something you do unconsciously. You refer to males and females differently. When talking about a woman, you call her chick. But when speaking about a man, you call him kid. After Chihiro Fujisaki was murdered, Oowada started referring to him as kid. That's when it struck me, that Oowada knew Chihiro Fujisaki was male.
You noticed such a minuscule detail?
What are you, woman? Some kind of witch? Scary!
I'm not the one you should be afraid of. What you should really be afraid of are people who kill others, who kill their friends.
Owada, is it true? Did you really murder Fujisaki?
I didn't kill anyone! The hell's your problem anyway? I make one little slip of the tongue, have one little brain fart, and all of a sudden you're calling me the culprit!
Yeah, really! These are nothing but baseless accusations! Bro would never do such a thing!
You have a point. It's hardly decisive evidence.
You're already backing down?
What other choice do we have? We have nothing else to go off of.
Ho, 'tis my time to shine. Just a whisper, I hear it in my ghost.
Oh yeah, you mentioned you found some evidence pointing to the culprit before, didn't you, Yamada?
Do you really? What'd you find?
Actually, thinking about it a little bit more, it might not actually mean anything.
Don't fizzle out on us like that, man. Just, come on. Let us see it, alright?
Well, if you insist. Here it is.
And what's that?
'Tis an Electro ID. I found it on the floor, so I picked it up.
He found an Electro ID? It must belong to... This is yours, isn't it, Owada?
What you talking about? I got mine right here.
Then whose could it be? I need to think this through carefully. I'm not gaining any support this way. Chihiro Fujisaki. As I recall, Fujisaki's Electro ID wasn't found at the scene of the crime, was it?
Yes, that is correct.
I knew I was right. I thought that might be the case, that this might belong to Master Chihiro Fujisaki.
That'll give us some kind of clue leading to the culprit, yeah?
I had the same idea, but alas, 'tis broken and won't even start up.
It's likely that, after committing the murder, the culprit broke it in an attempt to destroy evidence.
It's strange though. Electro IDs are not easy to break.
You got that right. They're completely waterproof with very high impact resistance, so they shouldn't break in everyday use.
And yet, his Electro ID is broken, as was Kawada's in the entrance hall. Wouldn't you say they're breaking a little too often for as highly as you praise them?
Ooh, boo, boo! Truth is, there's a bit of a mystery for you there. So here's the question. Why did the Electro IDs break?
Why did the Electro IDs break? I can only think of one possibility. That's it! Monokuma, you told Togami and I that Electro IDs have a weakness.
You remember that? Yeah, I might have accidentally let that slip, but I never told anyone what the weakness actually was.
But for two Electro IDs, which are not supposed to break under normal stress, to be found broken...
The only reasonable conclusion is that someone discovered their weakness. You know what it is, don't you, Monokuma? What is the weakness?
What? You want me to tell?
I think it's a vital piece of information, and it wouldn't be fair to withhold that from us.
I might tell you when someone goes and tries it themselves. I don't want to have to deal with that.
Come on, tell us. We won't try it, we promise.
Oh, fine. I have a soft spot for pleading. But seriously, don't try this at home, kids. Very well, but this is a special occasion. The almighty Electro ID's one and only weakness is that extended exposure to high temperatures causing thermal runaway, destroying it.
As I thought.
As you thought? What?
I found this Electro ID in the sauna.
Monokuma facts! Isn't it kind of weird how you don't get burned in the sauna when temperatures can exceed 100 degrees Celsius? This is because, as your sweat evaporates into the air, it creates a protective layer around your skin. Incidentally, if you blow hot air directly on your skin while in the sauna, you will get burned. That's because it disturbs the air around your skin. This is also why it hurts to move around in the sauna. For that reason, you must take care to remain still and quiet in the sauna.
Fascinating. I feel smarter.
'Twas a completely useless piece of trivia.
But hey, if the victim's Electro ID was found in the sauna, maybe they put it there on purpose, intending to break it by taking advantage of its weakness.
Then the culprit must have known the weakness.
But how'd he figure it out then? Monokuma said he didn't tell anyone.
'Tis a mystery indeed.
And what if he accidentally discovered it?
What do you mean, accidentally?
The culprit could have, through some turn of events, accidentally broken his own Electro ID in the sauna. And then, having discovered the Electro ID's weakness, he was able to repeat that a second time, with Chihiro Fujisaki's.
That's certainly possible, but then, who did it? I can't imagine anyone would bring their Electro ID into the sauna.
But I can.
You for real?
I can think of one person who might have brought their Electro ID into the sauna. There's only one person who might have brought their Electro ID into the sauna. That someone entered the sauna with their clothes still on. It can only be one person, and that person is none other than Mondo Owada. It can only be you! Owada, it was you who broke your Electro ID in the sauna, wasn't it?
What?
Why? Why him?
Owada, you and Ishimaru held an endurance contest in the sauna a couple days ago, didn't you? You went into the sauna with your uniform still on. And I suspect you didn't take your Electro ID out beforehand. That was when you figured out that Electro ID is breaking the sauna.
Stop it. You accused Bro of being a killer. But I refuse to believe it. Where's the conclusive evidence?
I don't want to believe it either. But I have evidence that proves it's the truth.
If Naegi's deductions are correct, then at some point in time, Oowada broke his own Electro ID.
In other words, if Owada's Electro ID is broken, then that means Naegi's deductions were correct.
My Electro ID works just fine.
Then why don't you prove it? Owada, does the Electro ID you have actually even belong to you?
What is that supposed to mean?
The broken Electro ID we found in the entrance hall. Isn't that one actually yours, Owada?